What's going on, everybody? I am back with another Prize Picks NBA player props video. This one going to be breaking it down, giving you guys 5 picks to get you winning some money over here on Prize Picks. As always, if you haven't checked out Prize Picks, would highly recommend you check them out, guys. It is a player props website and app where you can win money on picking the over and under on things like players' points, rebounds, assists, points, rebounds, and assists, fantasy score, 3 points made, etc. Go ahead and use that promo code KJK DFS to receive an instant match on your first deposit up to $100 a day. Again, that is code KJK DFS. Go to lock that in. Get that free money offer. And if you are going to be very serious, really looking to profit, make a lot of money playing these prop sites, I would highly recommend you check out my premium content packages. Those are linked below in the description. I do offer Prize Picks, college football, underdog, college football, NBA, NFL, NBA, NFL, college football going on for both apps right now. If you want access to all my picks for every single app, as well as the top alerts, push alerts before these videos go out, before anyone else receives them, you get access to my projection models, picks, every single one of my tickets for all apps, including Prize Picks, Underdog, Monkey Knife Fight, Betcha, and Vivid Picks now. All of the above. Check that out. If you're interested in it, if you enjoy the content, would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. Working my way back from being out of order here for a while with computer issues. So if you can get this up to 200 likes, that would be greatly appreciated. I promise I'm going to continue to work hard on these videos, getting everything put in place here to be back to normal. It feels like I'm almost there, but I'm still grinding hard in the background, working on a few things. So let's talk about it. Let's go game by game as we always do for these picks. And the first game we're going to talk about tonight, it's only a 2-gamer, but I do think it's a pretty good 2-gamer, you know, all things considered. I think there's some money to be made here, and I really do like these 5 props. We'll kick things off with the away side here in this Orlando Magic matchup. But it's a 226 over under 9.5 point spread in favor of the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors being on the road here. And we're going to start with Stephen Curry. And we're going to be talking about his fantasy prop over here on Prize Picks because he has been putting up some phenomenal point per minute numbers on the entire season. You look at Stephen Curry as far as how he's been doing. He has a 30% usage rate. No surprise he's going to get a lot of usage, but he's putting up 1.48 Prize Picks fantasy points per minute, which is really, really good. He's playing a play rate in the mid-30s to upper 30s in competitive ball games. And he's been crushing this prop, and I do have him projected to hit the over again. He's been averaging 50 over his last 5, 51 over his last 5, actually, 51.5 on this fantasy score, and his line's only set at 44.5. I think he's able to surpass this pretty easily. He's been doing it in all categories, man. We know Stephen Curry can get buckets, but you look at the game logs and how he's doing it and breaking it down. Last time out, put up a triple-double, 23 points, 13 assists, 13 rebounds. He's been grabbing a lot of rebounds, surprisingly. The assists are always going to be there naturally as a point guard. The points are going to be there for Stephen Curry, and then those blocks and steals as well from just being on the floor, you know, mid to upper 30s in minutes. You get 3 points for every one of those blocks and steals in fantasy land as far as the fantasy scoring is concerned. Turnovers, you do get -1 for every turnover, but Stephen Curry typically does take care of the ball pretty good. We did see him turn the ball over 5 times last time against Miami. You look at the result, still put up 56 fantasy points. So even when the guy's turning the ball over, he's crushing his fantasy right now. The fantasy point per minute metric's really, really good, and I do have him projected over in my projection model. So pick number 1, rocking with the over 44.5 fantasy score here for Stephen Curry. That will be pick number 1 here. Pick number 2, we're going to talk about his teammate, another guy that's been doing phenomenal in the fantasy point per minute category, and that's going to be Andrew Wiggins. I've been targeting Andrew Wiggins' fantasy prop, it seems like, every single night the entire season. He had 2 down games in a row recently, and then was able to bounce back last time out. It was no surprise to me. I played him in all 3 of those. He burnt me twice in a row. I said I'm going right back to the well because his line continues to be set. I think it was at 29.5 last time. That was really disrespectful. I still think this line is disrespectful at 31.5. This guy's pretty much a lock for mid-30s fantasy points, if not 40+ every single time he takes the floor. You're looking at the fantasy points per minute production on the season for him. He is putting up on the season 1.09 fantasy points per minute as far as the Prize Picks fantasy scoring format. He's only got a 20% usage rate, quote-unquote only. The guy's playing in the mid-30s, though. 1.09 fantasy points per minute, and you play in the mid-30s. Naturally, you're going to hit the over when the line's only set at 30 or 31 or whatever the case may be. He's pretty much a lock for mid-30s in fantasy points if he does not have an off game, such as he did against Detroit and Charlotte. He just shot terrible in those games. But the thing with Andrew Wiggins is he gets a ton of blocks and steals. He is a scrappy wing defender. It's not like we're just relying on the blocks and steals, obviously, either. I mean, you look at the game logs, really well-rounded here in games where he's performed well. 21 points last time out, 2 blocks, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. You look, like I said, he had really bad shooting games these 2 times prior, so I'm just going to skip over those ones, but then you go back down. 18, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 steal. 2 blocks, 3 steals, 3 steals, 1 blocks. Once again, you get 3 points for every one of those. If he goes out there and gets, 2 blocks and, 3 blocks and 2 steals, obviously that is a very quick 15 points that you're going to be racking up from a fantasy point aspect without even grabbing any rebounds, assist points, and he's been doing very well in those categories as well. And guys, the fantasy point per minute metric, that factors in everything. I mean, my projection model factors in every single little thing you could imagine, calculating up this fantasy score. Do have him hitting the over here pretty easily. I mean, anytime a guy's projected at least over 2, fantasy points over his projection, I would say that's a pretty easy hit. Obviously, we would prefer more, but Prizepicks typically does a very good job at setting these fantasy score lines. They're going to be right on the dot for the most part. So if you can get like 2 fantasy points, 3, 4, 5, obviously the ceiling is much higher. I mean, I've got Wiggins' ceiling right at 46.8 fantasy points right now. So the guy's capable of going out there and putting up, borderline 50 fantasy points. His line's only set at 31.5. Going to be rocking with the over 31.5 fantasy score here for Andrew Wiggins. That will be pick number 2 here. And then running it back on the other side, Orlando starting to deal with some injuries. There's no Cole Anthony right now. The usage has been really, really good for one guy in particular on the Orlando Magic. Rookie standout, Banchero. He's been phenomenal. Very, very good. 1.15 fantasy points per minute, 29% usage rate. I mean, that's up there with the elites. Borderline 30% usage rate. 29, that's pretty much Stephen Curry territory as far as usage rate's concerned. The 1.15 fantasy points per minute is really good. In competitive games, he has been playing mid to upper 30s. You look at his game logs. He's another guy that kind of similar to what I talked about with Andrew Wiggins. He's had a couple down games. I just simply don't care. Last time out against the Thunder, didn't have the greatest of games in 37 minutes. But once again, in competitive games, it means playing upwards of 30 minutes. And look at the fantasy point per minute production. 1.15 fantasy points per minute. That's simply really good. And then one thing is the Golden State Warriors play at the 3rd highest pace in the entire league. So that's going to be a big pace-up matchup for these Orlando Magic. You look at the pace as far as the Orlando Magic are concerned. They rank 19th in the league. Golden State Warriors 3rd in the league. So naturally, there's going to be more possessions, more opportunity for these Orlando Magic players to accrue fantasy points. And it all starts with Banchero, the highest usage, highest fantasy point per minute player on the Orlando Magic. If the game's going to stay close, it's going to be through him. I do think they can keep this game close, and I do think it does come through Mr. Banchero. Once again, last 2 times out, he's had some tough games. 25, 26. You look at the law of averages. I just simply don't care. Once again, I do have him projected well over, similar to what I talked about with Andrew Wiggins. Also a ceiling of, right around 47, upwards of, right around 50 fantasy points if he really does go off. So I think he hits it from a base projection aspect. Then you add in the ceiling, there's a chance he hits it by even more. Doesn't matter as long as he scores 35.6 to us, but I'm just saying these are things that I do factor in. So pick number 3, you're going to be rocking with the over 35.5 fantasy score for Puelo Banchero. Honestly, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I believe I do, but that's going to be pick number 3 here. Pick number 4, we're going to kick it on to the next game here. It's going to be the Oklahoma City taking on the Denver Nuggets. We will start with the away side. I want to talk about Michael Porter Jr. He has been fantastic this season. Really, really looking good. Bouncing back off that injury is Michael Porter Jr. He is shooting the lights out. You look at his game logs. Last time out, 5 for 15, 7 for 15, 7 for 14, 8 for 15. From three-point land specifically, 5 for 10, 5 for 10, 4 for 8, 4 for 5. Had a quote-unquote off game last time out, only shooting 30% from beyond the arc where he went 3 for 10. Getting to the free throw line last 2 times out as well, 4 for 5 from the free throw line in both of those, and he's been doing a very good job of scoring and rebounding, and then just naturally being out there on the floor for around 30 minutes. He is going to accrue some blocks and steals as well. So another guy that I really do like his fantasy score. He hasn't been turning the ball over a lot whatsoever. There's been 2 games he turned it over 4 times, 3 times. Other than that, it's been 0-1, 0-0. Mainly does contribute in the points and rebounding category, which honestly, those are 2 of the most reliable to rack up the fantasy points rather than having to rely on the assists and the blocks and steals. So I do like that, and there's going to be some bonuses. And once again, a guy I think can score in the mid-30s pretty much every time he takes the floor. Prizepicks, this is similar to what we talked about with Wiggins, similar to what we talked about with Banchero as far as where the lines are set. It's just simply too low when you look at the permanent production. You look at Michael Porter Jr.'s numbers on the season as far as his permanent production. He is putting up 1.08 fantasy points per minute. You do the math. If he plays around 30 minutes, putting up above 1.0 fantasy points per minute, 1.08, whatever that may be, it's obviously going to add up into the low 30s. Low to mid 30s in fantasy points. We see how he's doing it. He's been very reliable. He's hit this in 4 of the last 5, averaging 32.3. His minutes have been fluctuating a little bit because of dealing with off the injury. And one thing I really like as well is they're not on a back-to-back. They're not playing tomorrow, and they haven't played since the 30th. Today is the 3rd. He's had multiple days off. should be well rested. Might be one of those games where we can see him climb up into like the mid-30s like we saw on opening night where he played 35 minutes. That would be great. Even if he plays at 30, I think he hits, but I think there's room for some more minutes being well rested here. So that's another thing to take note of. So pick number 4. Taking the over 29.5 fantasy score here for Michael Porter Jr. Great talent. And pick number 5, rounding things out, we're going to go with the stud on the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Another guy, great, similar to Stephen Curry output, actually, as far as a fantasy point per minute output. He is better than Stephen Curry, and his usage. He's got a 32% usage rate, a 1.55 fantasy point per minute metric does Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is great at racking up the blocks and steals as well. Looking at how he compares to the rest of the league right now, really stands out. He is in the top percentile as far as steals and blocks for his position at the point guard position. He's in the 91st percentile as far as steals with a 2.9% steal metric. He's in the 88th percentile from the steals category and the 97th percentile on the block. He's got a 2% block metric for the point guard position. That is really, really good. That is the upper echelon, top 3% in the entire league. And the steals category, very good as well with a 2.8% steal metric, 88th percentile as far as the steals are concerned there. And the game logs show it. You can also get buckets. You can also get rebounds. You can also get assists. Very well-rounded player. He will have turnover from time to time, but the steals, the blocks, upside, the scoring, the assist, and the rebound far outweigh that. And I do want to be getting exposure to his fantasy. You can make an argument for his PRA, but once again, the blocks and steals are so valuable. I really do like the fantasy here for him, and he's playing in the upper 30s in competitive games once again. Typically 35, 37 minutes, 41 we saw against Dallas here, 37, 34. The game logs 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 34 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 block, 2 steals, 38 points. He's been so good, man. And the Oklahoma City Thunder do play at a fast pace. That's something that I should have mentioned with Michael Porter. He's getting a pace-up matchup here, but the Oklahoma City Thunder are 5th in the entire league in pace. Always something we're looking at. We want those high-paced teams, obviously, when we're taking overs. And I do have Shai Gilgeous, once again, projected to go out there and crush this line. I've got him getting over 50 fantasy points in this matchup. 47.5 fantasy score here for Shai. Once again, that 50 is from a base metric. His upside's upwards of 60. He's borderline 70 fantasy points upside is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander here in my projection model. So pick number 5. Rocking with the over 47.5 fantasy score here for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Love the picks here. For only a 2-gamer, I think we have a pretty solid one here. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. If you haven't checked out the premium content packages, check those out. Link below in the description. Patreon.com/KJK_DFS. And if you haven't signed up for Prizepicks, sign up today. Use that promo code KJK DFS to receive an instant match on your first deposit up to $100. Wishing you all the best of luck on your NBA props tonight, and we will see you in the next one.